Hello and welcome to Gundog Nation. This is Kenneth Witt coming to you from Texas, and I want you to know that Gundog Nation is much more than a podcast. It's a movement to unite those who love to watch a well-trained dog do what it was bred to do. We are also here to encourage youth to get involved in the sport of gun dogs, whether it's hunting, sport, or competition. I want to build a community of people united to preserve our heritage of gun dog ownership and to be better gun dog owners. Stay tuned to each episode to learn more about training, dog health, wellness, and nutrition from expert trainers, breeders, and veterinarians. Be sure to go on our website, www.gundognation.net, and join our email list. You will receive newsletters from trainers and vets and breeders that will also help you being a better gun dog owner. And be sure to listen to some of our supporters, Mo Pitney, who is a very good country musician and bluegrass musician. He has a bluegrass project called Pitney Myers, and he's getting ready to come out with a new album on Curb Records, so stay tuned. Also, the music provided on our show is from Sean Brock, originally from Harlan, Kentucky, just across the mountain from me. He did all the music that you hear on our introduction and our outro for the show. Played all the instruments except for Scott Vessel on the banjo and Jerry Douglas on the dobro. Check them out. Thank you for listening. Hello, this is Kenneth Witt with Gundog Nation. Many people quickly become frustrated and confused when training the retriever. Cornerstone Gundog Academy's online courses eliminate all the guesswork by giving you a proven training system that will help you train a dog that anyone would be proud to have in their blind. Learn where to start, what to do next, and what to do when problems arise. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to learn how you can train your retriever. I have used this method myself. I have been through it a couple times with different dogs. I refer back to it lots of times when I'm trying to get dogs freshened back up for hunt test season. I highly recommend them. I have actually been a subscribed member of Cornerstone Gundog Academy since 2016, and I would suggest anyone use it. I highly recommend it. They have an app that you can get to on your phone. You can do it from your phone, your laptop. You can't get any more convenient than that. I've used it. It's proven and tried, and I know literally hundreds of people that have done the same thing that I've talked to. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com and learn how to train your own retriever. Hello and welcome back to Gundog Nation. I am very excited to have guests on today from overseas. This is I've only had a couple guests from overseas, and this one's the first one in Belgium. Pieter and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. I'll let him do that because I don't want to make a huge mistake. But he and I have a mutual friend here in the States who's also a Belgium native, I guess, Joris, and I won't pronounce his last name because I'll butcher that too. But Joris saw that I was in England, I guess, on Facebook, and I was at a field trial, the International Gundog League field trial, the IGL. And what was so ironic is Pieter was there too. And so Joris connected us while we were there. And it was nice, because I didn't really know a whole lot of people. And I picked up a new friend, and we've stayed in touch. But I'm going to let he and his wife, Laura, introduce themselves, tell you where they're live from today. And even though this will not be a live recording by the time it's released, but hey, and then we're going to talk about their knowledge and experience with gun dogs, field trials, judging. They've got a lot to offer. So you two, we'll let you start first. Miss Laura?
Yeah, we'll let Laura introduce herself. We won't pronounce any last names. I will just stick with the first names. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will not say my last name. But yeah, I'm originally Italian. So, and I moved to Belgium 5 years ago because of love. First, because of love, and second, because Belgium is closest to England than Italy.
Okay. And Miss Laura, when you were in Italy, did you also were involved with gun dogs?
Yeah. I'm breeding. It's my job since more than 25 years. So, of course, I was already breeding. I only bred golden retriever in my life. I started with show dogs, and I switched to working dog, I would say, 18 years ago. Okay, now the 80% of my breeding is only working dogs, and I still have a couple of show dogs, and I still breed some show lines, maybe once every 2 years.
And how long total have you been breeding altogether, show and working lines?
My first litter is from 2000, I think. Yeah, I bred my first litter in 2000.
That's a long time. So you've seen a lot. Miss Laura, I'm going to talk with you first. So what changes do you see? What's the major differences that you see in the show line golden retriever and the working line golden retriever?
Well, there are a lot of difference. When I start breeding, as I said before, I started with show dogs. I think there was also more quality in show dogs, thinking about natural abilities. Okay, so you could still have a show dog who could be a good companion for a gun, for example. Okay, without thinking about high level of trial. I would say now we almost lost everything about this. So of course there is a clear difference in the how they appear, how they look. Okay. But the biggest difference is based on the character and the I would not even talk about the ability on the field, but really the ability to learn. Okay,
yes.
Which of course it's a huge part for us that we train dogs to get them on a certain level, but it's also very useful just for the family, because if you have a dog which is easy to manage, it makes him a very easy dog for not professional people, so as a pet. Okay.
Yes.
Well, so I would say that's the biggest difference, probably. Yeah.
Is gun dog popularity in Italy? How would you compare that to England, Ireland, and Scotland?
No, not at all. I mean, 9 person out of 10, they don't even know that a retriever is a gun dog.
Wow.
If I can add something, there is a big gun dog community in Italy, but not specifically retriever. I think Italy is very famous for its pointing dogs. Yeah. I mean, setters mainly. There are some very famous, very famous setter kennels in Italy. Yeah.
Okay. So the sport is big in Italy as it is in, say, the United Kingdom.
If we're talking about other breeds, other gun dog breeds, yeah, for sure. Okay. We have a big tradition in Italy for this, okay? But not retrievers. I mean, because we don't have the kind of ground, we don't have the kind of hunting situation where you really need the retrieve. So, no, they're definitely not popular. Maybe Labrador a bit more, because we have some shoot where they use Labrador for pickup. Goldens, a normal hunter, I would say, always has a bit more problem with the golden, because they think about the coat, so they think they're more complicated to keep, so which is actually not really true. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Pieter, you've been judging, I know, not just in Europe, but also in the United Kingdom too?
Well, we've both judged in the United Kingdom.
Miss Laura, you judge also?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay. So tell me about what do you all judge? What kind of events do you judge at, and where?
But we're both judges for retrievers only, right?
Okay.
So what we judge actually on in Europe, and that's both continental Europe and UK and Ireland, there are actually only 2 kinds of competitions we have, and that's what we call a working test, which is on dummies. But I think you call dummies, you don't call them dummies, you call them bumpers, I think, but artificial stuff. It's what we do springtime through summer. And then we have what we call field trials, which is what you saw at the IGL. The IGL is that's where everybody wants to be. But trials are just shooting days on game, and your dog gets judged. That's the 2 kind of competitions we have all over Europe, and over the UK. It's similar, and that's the 2 things we judge. Yeah.
I had Declan Boyle on here not long ago from Ireland. Actually, just released last week, and I didn't realize, Pieter, that there are national gun dog teams in a lot of the European countries, right? Like, how many? So I know the UK, dog teams. What other European dog teams are there? Is there Italy, Belgium? What countries have those?
Oh, well, we have. So if you look to the UK, in the UK you have the IGL, where you were, that's, let's say, the field trial championship. That's the UK championship for all dogs that qualified on trials during the season. And then in the UK, you have working tests every week to spring and summer, but there are a few big team events. And I'm sure Declan told you about it. Like, Declan is the team captain for the Irish team.
Yes.
But you have Skinners, which is a bit seen as the World Cup for retrievers on dummies or on bumpers, as you call them. They have a few game fairs where they call it their home nation teams. Now, on the continent, we have something similar. We have a European Championship, which is actually being judged by Declan last year, which is, can I say it's our IGL of the continent? You know, dogs qualify throughout the season, and then they run there in the same championship. And we have something which is called the International Working Test, and the name says it himself. We call it the IWT. It's organized in a different continental country each year, right? And each country delegates teams to the IWT. So, and actually, we organize it in Belgium this year. We're both very busy with organizing. It will happen in 2 weeks. And I think we have 40 teams out of 16 different countries. So we have teams from Spain all the way to Estonia, Finland, Italy, Austria, Poland, Czech Republic. And actually the Scottish team is coming over as well. Okay. So we have one team from the UK.
Now, Pieter, I apologize because after I let Laura introduce herself, I started hammering her with questions. I didn't realize how much experience she had. But tell the listeners your background in dogs, with gun dogs.
I actually also started with show dogs. I never bred. I'm now into breeding by helping Laura, but I never bred before. But we actually started in the same year. We figured out often because we both bought our first own dog in 1994. My family had Labradors at home, just as a pet. And my first dog I bought myself was a flat-coated retriever. Yes. I started out showing, and then at that time, to make a dog show champion, a dog needed to have a field trial award. And I didn't know that because I didn't know anything. My family has no shooting background at all. You know, the reason I know Joris, our mutual friend over in the US, is because my family come out of police dogs. They were all Malinois people. And it still has a big piece in my heart. So I stay in touch with that world, and that's how I met Joris and so on and so on. But I realized I have a very good show flat coat, but it needs a field trial award to, make his title. So I started, and all the rest is history. I started liking the training more, and I was stuck with flat coats for a few years because I was young and,
dreamer,
and I wanted to do my own thing. And then realized at one point, maybe I should buy a Labrador, which my first working bred Labrador came in 2007, I think. And since then I only have Labradors. And then when we came together, I also made up a few Goldens. So yeah, we're in it the same amount of time, but made our way from show dogs to working dogs. And actually in the end, both enjoy more training and competing than, being on a green carpet and.
What's the highest level that each of you have obtained in the field trial world?
The highest thing you can put on a dog is title him, but it works a bit different. We both made up international field trial champions. We both have been second in the European Championship, which is probably the highest. And then I'm still happy to be the first Belgian ever to qualify for the IGL, which I managed to do 2 times with a bitch that Laura bred, actually.
When I was at the IGL this past fall, I know you all were there. Did you have a dog competing or someone competing one of your pups?
Yeah. Nathan Laffey. He runs a dog called, I think twice, Zero to Hero, which is bred by Laura, and he qualified for the IGL 5 times now.
Wow.
Has been had a third and what we call a diploma of merit. So he qualified 5 times, finished the trial 2 times, and got an award 2 times. So yeah, we were there to cheer for him, actually.
And, I don't know how much our listeners know this, but, I was surprised to see, I think there was more than one golden retriever at the IGL. Is that right?
I think this year there were a few, or 4.
There was definitely Chance, that's the dog that Pieter just mentioned. His daughter, run by a nice girl, which is quite new in the
trialing scene.
And then there was other Goldens.
I think there were 4 this year, if I remember well.
Yeah.
I think there were 4. What's the lady called? My word. Yeah, you're right. It was more than one, but we wanted to know Nathan because his bred was, and then this girl who was running a bitch out of him. So we also keep a close eye on her because it's Laura's line. But I think there were at least 1 or 2 more. But and I can see her in front of me, but my mind goes blank now.
We're not talking about Les Compton.
Yeah.
No, she was qualified.
Yeah,
she was. We're not sure.
We're getting too old, Ken. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's y'all stay busy because I know you're all leaving to drive back to. I think you were going to judge when you left there, right? Back to Europe. I mean, back to Belgium. Or you were going somewhere and you were going to judge another trial. You and her. Actually, I called you while you were on the road. We talked.
Oh yeah. We were on the way to Italy to judge the trial over there. Yeah, we judged 2 days trialing in Italy.
Now, I know you all train, you compete, you breed. Do you all ever actively do the shoots yourself?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have a shooting license.
What do you think? Pieter, you've owned Labradors and Goldens and flat coated, and what's some of the differences that someone like me or some of our listeners would not know that between the Goldens and the Labs, other than the coat? We know their coat's different, but as far as hunting drive and hunting ability, their nose, what do you see major differences in the 2 breeds? When you're getting ready to go on your next hunting trip, make sure you pack the most efficient and reliable ammunition on the market. Migra Ammunition brings you the most diverse loads on the market. Migra's patented stacked load technology is the epitome of efficiency. 2 shot sizes stacked together to create the most diverse and efficient line of shot shells in the industry. It doesn't matter what flyway, what state, or what the weather, the standard remains the same. At Migra, reliable loads that perform in any condition every single time. We're proud to have Migra Ammunition as a sponsor for Gundog Nation.
Well, there are differences because they are a different breed. But the first thing I'm going to say is the difference is not as big as some people want to. They use it as an excuse. And I'm talking sometimes more about, and I saw it also in flat coats, They use the breed as an excuse, and I think it's the wrong thing to do, because one of the best advice I ever had was a good dog never has the wrong color or the wrong coat. So it means a good dog is a good dog. And if you bring it back to the basics, whether it's a flat coat or a golden or a Labrador, they're bred for the same thing, and we basically train them the same way with some nuances, but I'll go into that in a second. So, Of course, there is a difference in quality in breeding. There are a lot more quality Labradors, but there are also a lot more useless Labradors. And you know why? Because it's numbers, right? So it's easier to pick a decent bred Labrador puppy than it's more difficult to find a quality bred Golden, but it's only a numbers game, right?
Yeah, and I would say it's more a matter of quantity than quality.
Exactly.
Yes.
You can just have more choice in Labrador than Goldens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know about the Belgium. I assume Belgium has a kennel club like the England, but in the United States, the AKC, and I think maybe it's changed recently to be the French Bulldog, but for years and years, the number 1 registered dog in the United States, we got a lot of people and a lot of dogs, was the Labrador. So is it that way in Belgium?
I think Labradors and Goldens are still in the top 10 of popular
and they are
breeds.
very close to each other. So.
Yeah. But you see, that's more showbred Labradors and Goldens. I mean, the market for pet dogs is a lot bigger with showbred. I mean, I'm talking really 100% working bred. Like Laura said, it's a numbers game. It's quantity. So you have there's more choice in quality Labrador litters than there is choice in quality Golden litters. That being said, there are differences, and I'll start with the easy ones. And a lot of people might disagree, but it's just our experience. I think Labradors are, and I'm going very practical, in general, better swimmers, and the Goldens are better jumpers, because every time I take puppies on, it seems that, the Labradors don't think when you start water work, and the Goldens, they don't think when you start doing fences and all the other stuff. And it's just, I think Goldens they more tend to work for you. And I'm not saying a Labrador, but switching a handler on a Labrador, for example, is a lot easier than switching a handler on a Golden. I think they're a bit more affectionate. I think also Goldens make better pets than Labradors, to be honest. They're just a bit more, but when it comes to the technical pace of the training, we don't make any difference. We don't make any difference at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just sitting here thinking, I did that Napopo Gold School in December with yours, and they have one of your dogs.
Yeah, yours is one of our dogs, yeah.
I got to work with that dog.
Yeah, X-Ray.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Very smart, beautiful dog. Do you all send many pups outside of Europe? Do you have any going to the United States on a regular basis?
I would say we had, because I don't know if you're aware, regulation changed from the 1st of August last year. So I think honestly for puppies, the market to US will have a big Red Cross, because keeping a puppy for 6 months, which is the minimum age when they are allowed to come into the country now. For us as breeders, it's. We can't do it for free, of course. So, and then the pups start to become too expensive, for the client. Yes. So they probably better go for an adult or, not a puppy anymore. So I think, we sold quite a lot of dogs to US in the last few years. But after this new regulation.
No, it's already expensive shipping a dog to the US. If they need to pay a boarding kennel for 6 months and all the paperwork and vaccinations, everything. Who can afford this? I think it's a ridiculous rule. I don't know where it comes from, but it killed the market completely, and it makes it very difficult for people over there to import new blood or you're actually limited to either import adult dogs, which is also expensive, or import semen.
Which is also very expensive.
Which is also expensive. And the other thing which I hear now from friends in the UK, there seems to be an interest in bitches in pup. So, you're technically importing pups, but they're not born yet. So, we see, not us, we never did it. But I heard from friends also in the UK that there is like an increased interest in buying bitches. Leaving there when they go in season, mate them, and I think we have a lady we work with who does all the shipping for dogs. She said up to a certain amount of days of pregnancy, you're allowed to bring them over. I feel sorry for people in the US because it makes it a lot more complicated to get European or UK stuff. Yeah,
I imported 2 pups right before August 1st.
Yeah.
And, there's talk about the rule. I don't know if it'll be, repealed back or not. It's really a shame. And I don't understand the purpose of it. No one does. When you all sent the dogs that came into the U.S. that were bought from y'all, did they go to hunting homes or pet homes or both?
I think
no, they all went to actually professional.
Yeah, I think the one to yours is the first one that went outside of a shooting context.
Okay.
Joris wanted something different than a Malinois to train for detection work. And he wanted something working bred with a bit of drive on it. Then we met and he saw some videos from us on our website. And then he said, I want one of them. So, and she's doing very well. And I think we also have one at the veteran, some organization for...
the veterans... how you called it?
For service dogs?
No, it's an organization. They do some kind of therapy work, don't they?
It was like 6-7 years ago. I can't really remember.
Yeah, I mean, US veterans who served in the military. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, people with traumas and everything, combat traumas, and they use that dog as a therapy dog for US veterans. Yeah. But that's a few good years ago. A pup went over to go and do this.
It's brother of Ada, so it must be 6 years ago. 6.5. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one.
Are Goldens the only dogs y'all have currently?
No, we do have Labradors, but I mean, only breeding Goldens have both. I always have some Labrador males. Actually, I also have a bitch sometimes, but we don't really breed. The breeding is, I'm not really interested in breeding. I mean, not interested in breeding in the sense of, I never had I enjoy the training and the competing and the judging. I never had a real interest in building up my own line or my own kennel. I prefer to buy them and train them. So no, the only litters born are Goldens. Yeah.
Now, Pieter, the labs that you have, are they for competing?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit. You guys obviously have trained dogs to a high level and achieved very high awards for your training with your dogs. What would you, to the listeners who are just now maybe getting a pup and want to train and to compete, even though our field trials are a little different over here, what advice would both of you give to a young dog or to a new dog owner, they could be young or old, that wants to hunt and or compete with that dog?
Well, I think we both have the same opinion when it comes to starting. If you're really new, I don't know how it's over in the US, so it might be an answer that's a bit colored by the continental situation.
So the first rule with newcomers and puppy is less is more.
Yeah, less is more. Yeah, but absolutely. But even before that, go and find somebody to help you, right? Go and train with somebody, take some lessons, whatever, find a training club, but train with people who prove they know what they're doing. Because it's and I'm stealing a quote of a very famous handler in the UK. He once told me, he said it became an entertainment industry. So there are, people giving training everywhere. And I don't blame anybody. I mean, everybody can, I'm not jealous. I don't judge. But when you're new and you have some ambition, you want to do it right. The best advice we got was train with people who are better than you, and don't be jealous. There is a big difference between jealousy and envy. If you understand what I mean, you should be jealous in a way. You have to be inspired by somebody, but look to the CV, look to people who have results and actually show that what they try to teach you in theory, they're actually able to put it in practice. Because there is a lot of, and social media is not helping. Another quote I stole from somebody else is, social media is rewarding bad training, So I don't want to, it sounds a bit too dramatic when I listen to myself, but just, if you buy a pup and it's well-bred and you have some ambition, or you just want to have a decent, well-behaved dog just to go rough shooting, study a bit, you can find anything in the internet now about anybody. Just do your research before you blindly go somewhere and do something. And actually, what Laura means, less is more. You don't need to train 8-week-old, 12-week-old puppies. Just let them be a pup. Let them be, enjoy life, bond with you, and there is a right age for everything, But now it's very commercial. There, even around our own village, puppy courses and puppy seminars and I think, Jesus Christ, you know, and I'm stealing a lot of quotes from other people because I can't say it better. It's like, try to teach a child to ride at a birthday party. You know, it won't happen. So, you know, let a pup be a pup. Let them, you know, grow up. Let them bond with you. Let them experience a lot of things. Drive a car, go in the forest. Let them have a swim when the weather is nice. But it's not training. It's guidance. It's education, you know. And then when the moment is there, you will feel it. And it's easier to feel it when you have a lot of experience. You can't buy experience. But I think even when you're new and you get the right advice, you will feel when it's the right moment to take the right steps.
Now, do you all use treat training, clicker training? What methods do you have worked best for you?
Good boy, good girl. That's it.
Okay. All right. So no bribery.
No.
We
no, exactly.
No, we don't believe in that.
No.
Okay.
No, because the word bribery is very important. You know, actually, a treat or a clicker, they're not training methods, right? They're training tools. That's a big difference. So if you use a clicker wrong, all the effect is gone. If you use treats wrong, the effect is gone. So, and you say bribery, most people use treats as bribery. And we make a lot of comparison with children, young children. It's like, you go to the supermarket with a young child and it screams his head off because it wants an ice cream. You can buy him an ice cream to make him shut up, but that's not education. You know, you can tell him off for screaming. And then when he's quiet for the afternoon, then give him an ice cream to reward him for being quiet. And it compares exactly to dogs. So clickers and treats and all the other, they're just tools. And the tools we use is good boy, good girl, or don't do this. And it's whether timing is much more, and timing in correction and praising, and timing in when you do what with the puppy is much more important than whether you use. I don't judge people who use a clicker. I know very, very skilled handlers, mainly in the work that yours is doing, protection work and police work, who use clickers very successfully. But most of them are successful trainers because they have an expert timing and they can read a dog. It's not because they use a clicker, you know.
Well, that's amazing because you're all just using verbal praise, and you're making it to field trial champion and levels. That's impressive because it takes a lot of training to get those dogs to that level.
It does for sure. But that's why it's very important to have a good DNA in your hand, you know, because this allowed you to proceed in that way, you know. So actually, I would say the connection is probably, I would say, the one of the quality we appreciate the most in when we choose a pup. Okay, I would say two things: the connection and the ability to recover. Okay, they are the two things that make the difference when we have to choose a pup. And if they grow up with these two quality, you know, then they make your life a bit easier because they can take verbal correction, but also verbal prices, you know, so you don't need any tool in your hand you just use your voice. And your voice allowed you to have the right timing, close to you, but also far from you. So, which a biscuit will never work when the dog is at 100 meters. So,
and especially when you try to bribe a dog, it will never work. And there, you know, it's in Dutch or even in Italian. I don't know. I never found the right word, but trainability for me is key. A dog needs to. If they want to be trained, it makes your life a lot easier. And it sounds a bit stupid, but I mean, everybody who trained one dog in his life know what I mean. And there is a lot of debate about whether the dogs from now are better than in the past or the other way around. And you know, I think actually a lot of dogs today are a lot better than in the past. And with better, I mean, I think, and maybe I can't talk for the whole continent or for all of Europe. We go often to the UK, so I can compare a bit, but our dogs here in the past were a lot harder, a lot tougher, you know. So in my opinion, we all breed and we want to trial and we want to compete at a high level, but the average shooting person just wants to have a dog that goes out shooting maybe 10 times a season. He's more a pet and a friend for the children than he's a gun dog. So I think the temperaments we have today, they're easier to train, they're not as high drive, and they don't need to be. I mean, that's my opinion. I think in the past, and when I started, I had dogs, they were caterpillars. They would go through a concrete wall, and it was absolutely spectacular. But I think the dogs we have now, they are as efficient and they're much easier to manage. I'm not saying it's easy to train a dog to qualify for the IGL. There's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of expertise that goes in there. But I think today, in general, dogs are more level-headed, and it's easier to train. I don't mean it's easier to make them up to a champion. I think, if you know what I mean, they're a better average for everybody, also for the normal shooting person, or as a pet, as Laura said before. When they have I think we can sum it, temperament is absolutely key, absolutely key.
That's a good point. I think, I've had people ask me all the time about types of dogs to buy for hunting. And, and I always tell them, hey, you really don't need a dog that's got all this field trial bred lines and high competition achievements for a regular everyday hunting dog that you may get to hunt 2 weeks out of the year in the United States. We don't normally have as much vacation as y'all, as a general rule. So we don't have that much time to take off work and go hunting. So the rest of the 355 days a year, it's sitting at your house. So you might want something that's a little less motivated, still will retrieve, game and be obedient, but maybe not with like a rocket,
Yeah, no, absolutely true. And I mean, Laura said also something about the ability to recover. It's for us part of the temperament.
Yes, I was going to ask Laura. I was going to ask her to expound on that.
Don't forget it. No, about the ability to recover.
Yeah, I would say for me, probably, if you ask me to rank the priority when I choose a pup, I would say ability to recover I would put it on the first place. Definitely.
Okay. And Laura, if you don't mind, explain that to the listeners. What does that mean, ability to recover? I know what it means, but maybe our listeners don't understand what that means.
Ability to recover is the ability to make a mistake, but be ready to try again. It's actually the ability to try again, to be willing to try again. Don't give up, which is not being tough or hard. So then it becomes then you stubborn. Okay, that's not ability to recover, but it's the willing to say, okay, if mommy asks me, it means I can do it. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try again, and I make a mistake, and I'm gonna try again, and I'm gonna try again. Okay, fine. Finally, we got it.
And that's as opposed to just shutting down, like when a dog just shuts down and okay, I'm done for today. Okay. Hello, this is Kenneth Witt, and Gundog Nation is proud to have one of their sponsors as Retriever Training Supply, based in Alabama. Retriever Training Supply offers fast shipping on quality gear. Your dog will love it. Visit retrievertrainingsupply.com to purchase gear to help you train your retriever. Listen, they have some of the best leashes I've ever found. It's stuff's made in America. Their leashes are, and they source them locally. They have anything you want, fast, friendly service, fast shipping, just good people. Retriever Training Supply.
Yeah, and I think it's a quality for different reasons. It's a quality to train them, because there is confusion and pressure involved in training. How you turn it, I mean, you know, that's it. I don't want to go into the debate of all the positive only training, etc. But it's just, I made a comparison with children. Over here, children start going to school, or what we call preschool or kindergarten, from 2.5 years old. Child has been with mommy for 2.5 years, and then suddenly you drop it off at the school gate with a sandwich for lunch and say, bye-bye, mommy's coming back at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a shock. A lot of people cry the first day at the school gate, but we think it's normal. Why? It's part of growing up. Then they go into school, they realize it's not so bad. There are other children to play with. The teacher is a nice lady. And after a few days, they'll start to enjoy it. But it's a process of confusion. It's not all positive. You learn to enjoy it. It's the same with dogs. When a puppy is all play and fun, and then you put the lead on it for the first time, you're going to ask it more and more to walk the wheel, to sit and stay. They don't all enjoy it from the first moment. It's our job to make it as enjoyable as possible. That's where the ability to recover comes in. And later on in life, when a dog is working, especially retriever, there's a lot of training and handling involved. But when a dog is there in the area and has to do his business, don't give up. Or what you saw it at the idol, when dog need to jump a fence or a wall, you don't want one that jumps and falls off and then say, oh, right, I'll give up. But a lot of people confuse high drive, hard going dogs with this. So we want something sensible, that's trainable, that wants to work with us, but has the ability to recover. And we also think, you said it a while ago, it's even a quality for pet dogs. Because if we sell a puppy to a family with young children, and the children are a bit rough with it, or a bit wild, or they scream, or, the pup might be scared for a second, but he'll recover, he'll get over it, So I think it's it's just a big quality in a dog in general, whether you're competing or not. But it's not to be confused, like Laura said, with being stubborn or being stone hard. And I think that's, in my opinion, that's a good evolution we had in the breeding of working dogs today compared to 25, 30 years ago.
Since you all have worked with, obviously have experience in show dogs, showing dogs, working dogs too. In both of those situations, a dog needs to have good nutrition. What kind of advice would you give the listeners in making sure that your dogs, receive proper nutrition and look good and can participate in shows or working environments?
Yeah, already for years, we honestly strongly believe in fresh diet. So our dogs are fed with raw meat, raw vegetables, and of course we use quite a good amount of supplements. Depends from the period of the year, the dog, how many hours we work them, or if they're show dogs or they're working dog, or if they're puppies, and so they need supplements for their joints and whatever. But we feed our dogs raw, and we believe we believe in it. Yeah.
I assume taking that kind of care of dogs, your dogs probably live a pretty good long time, probably above the average as far as their lifespan.
Well, we always say that 10 to 12 years as an average for a retriever is a good age. We had several above that. Actually, in the last 2 years, we lost a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, but we also lost an 11-year-old. And we also, to be fair, we lost a 5-year-old this summer. So, which was an exception. He was ill.
I would say the average 13. Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we're above 12, which is a good average. But I think,
Now, what's the average weight for a golden retriever male?
A working one, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
28 kilos.
Yeah.
Okay.
28 kilos and 22, 23 for the bitch.
Okay. Peter, what would that be in pounds? Do you know?
Multiplied by 2.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a pound is about half a kilo. So.
Okay. I didn't know that. You taught me something new.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Don't take me on it, but what we call a pound, I think it's not exactly half a kilo, but it's roughly half a kilo.
But as close as a meter in a yard, probably.
Similar. Yeah, similar. Yeah.
Okay. If people want to look at your all's dogs, or maybe even get a dog, how do they get in touch with you? Do you have a website?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
What is that? Let's have your web address.
Well, the website, all the dogs, also the Labradors, are on the same website. The website is Laura's kennel name, which is Think Twice Golden Retriever. So if you Google Think Twice Golden Retriever, you'll always find it. I don't know.
Okay, and that's think twice. Golden retrievers.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it .net, .org, .com?
No, it's .be. .be for Belgium. Yeah.
Okay. .be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
and you are on all the social media too, right?
Yeah, there is also a Facebook page.
There is a Facebook. Yeah, there is a Facebook page and also an Instagram page, which I don't really update often.
I learned recently that when you're using Facebook, you're old because young people don't use Facebook anymore. But anyway, Laura keeps the Facebook page quite up to date, especially when it comes to litters and, people, when they order a pup, they like to see pictures and videos, and, it's an easy way for them to follow. Yeah.
Now I'm going to put you two on the spot. If someone were trying to decide between a golden retriever and a Labrador retriever as a hunting dog, what would you tell them to get and why?
I will give you the answer I already gave you. I know Laura's answer. You will always say golden, but
no.
But a good dog never has the wrong breed or the wrong color. I think it's preference, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, it depends from what the dog should do in the spare time of his life. I mean, if he's a family dog, I think Pieter said it before. I think golden, they have a better switch. They are really, they can be very, very calm and quiet in the house and so perfectly pet. And then when you go out, we have several of them. And then when you go out training, they are just a machine, very high drive dogs, but probably also because we bred them like this, we like them like this. We like dogs which can switch off in the house and be very, very powerful outside. So for a family, I would suggest a golden. And maybe for a more professional, it doesn't matter. I would suggest a good one. That's it.
Yeah, I think if your question is the average shooting person, or somebody just shoots a few days a season, and for the rest, the dog also needs to be a pet, and maybe be pet for the children, whatever. Yeah, then I agree 100%. I would definitely say I think a golden is more suitable than a Labrador because they just have a bit more an affectionate temperament.
And you all could probably help me on this one too. I don't know this answer, but I'm just assuming that in the United States, that finding a working golden is difficult. You can find working retrievers. There's advertisements all over social media, everywhere. Is that pretty accurate, you think? I know you're an outsider looking in, but you guys have a lot of contacts here and you travel.
Yeah, it's the same over here. I think it's the same in every country, in every European country, also the UK. It's you can find a well-bred Labrador litter in every street. Finding a good working bred litter is it's a numbers game. They're just less.
Yeah. And I think this, Laura, you might agree with me. I think when you were first talking, I think you were saying that there's so many that the Goldens were kind of watered down because of the popularity and the show lines. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same. I've got Dobermans. I do protection dogs too. That's how I know yours. And I think the same with the Dobermans. They were popularized in the 80s with the TV show Magnum, other shows and movies. And they just became watered down. It's so hard to find a consistent working line Doberman. I have two, but I know where to get them, and it's not easy to find. And I feel like that Goldens are kind of in that same category.
It's true. But I think also Labradors, at least on the continent, went to that period once when they were very popular.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I actually never talked about why at one point, because if you look to field trialing, retrievers, most retriever breeds have UK origin. Yes. Labrador and Goldens at least, flat coats as well. trialing was invented in the UK. Our sport comes from the UK. And if you look to trialing history, in the beginning, flat coats ruled the trialing world,
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. We're only flat coats, or they were called wavy coat at the time, flat coat. And then it's only after the Second World War that Labradors took really over. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard about Judy and Sam Seal. I know them because they bred flat coats, but Judy once wrote, it's a small, interesting book, History of Retrievers, and it goes about history of trialing and everything. And if you look to the numbers, it's amazing to see how it changed. Now flat coats are completely disappeared from the working scene. They're exclusively, and some people will be slightly angry with me, but they're a show breed now, 100%. It's very hard to find something that still has a bit of working blood in it. Goldens, there is still a very clear show line and a working line, but why the working Goldens at one point lost popularity, I don't really know, because there also used to be a lot more, not when we were competing, but if you look in the history, like 40, 50 years ago, there were a lot more Goldens also at the IGL, a lot more Goldens competing, a lot more Goldens in the awards. And I think just more and more people who were probably also had Goldens, they all switched to Labradors. And then it's like a snowball effect, more good trainers and skilled people struggle to find the right stuff. So they switch to another breed. They're successful there. So they start to maybe, you know what I mean? So one breed's getting stronger and stronger, and another breed is getting weaker and weaker. And with weak, I don't mean the breed's weak, but the people and the experienced, knowledgeable people in a breed get smaller and smaller. I think that's part of the reason. I mean, flat coats had disappeared completely. Yeah.
I wasn't really sure what I saw the other day, and I finally asked somebody. I was at an AKC hunt test, and I saw a flat-coated retriever. It's the first one I ever seen in person. And
Oh,
I'm
really?
56 years old, and I see a lot of dogs. But yeah, it was in Texas, at a AKC hunt test.
They're quite.
But that was very rare,
Yeah.
I would assume.
We see them at working tests.
On test, we see them a lot here, I would say.
Okay.
Also a lot of Goldens, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say I see a big difference between my regional country, Italy, and here, I mean, Belgium, or anyway, I mean, the most north of Europe. In Italy, I would say you can count 2, 3, 4, 5 Goldens on a test.
They're more over here.
Yeah, they're definitely much more. Also because we live close to, Belgium is close to our neighbor country is Germany, and in Germany they're very, very popular.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a big difference in breed count on a working test or in trials. In trials, it's 95% Labradors.
Yeah.
In working test, you see much more Golden, depending on it, but you also see flat coats. You even see the old Nova Scotia. Yeah. You'll see the minor breeds in test as well, but they seem not to be able to step up towards a trial.
Do you all see over there in your trials that you attend, and I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but the Drothar, the German wire hair
pointers? Yeah, well, trials are or retriever trials or pointing dog trials or spaniel trials. But yeah, German wire hair, they're quite popular also with just shooting people over here. Yeah. Because they are, I think they believe in some kind of Fata Morgana, but they say, no, it can point, it can retrieve, it can do everything. I never met a dog who can do everything. But it's a dog that's very popular for rough shooting over here. In Italy. And also in Italy, because, technically it can retrieve, it can point, it can flush, it can, they can use it to track wild boar or to track a lost roe deer or anything. So it's quite a complete dog. So that's why it's very popular with the average shooting person. Yeah. And they do trial them, but I think on the continent, setters and pointers are, I mean, the UK pointing breeds are more popular. And I'm not expert on pointing dog trials, but I have the impression that non-continental breeds, as we call them, so the pointing dogs from the UK, are much more popular for trialing people than the continental pointers, for some reason. Yeah.
Well, hey, it's been I know we've been trying to get together for a while, and I appreciate you taking time. I've really enjoyed it. I could talk all day about dogs. I know you guys, it's getting late over there.
Yeah.
But so again, they can find you at Think Golden.
Think Twice Golden Retriever. If they just Google Think Twice Golden Retriever, you will always end up on our website. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Laura, Pieter, thank you so much for being on my podcast. It's a pleasure, an honor to have you guys on, and we may get you on again. Let me ask this before I go. Are you guys going to be at the IGL this year in Scotland?
It might be.
Yeah, probably yes.
Okay.
I would really like. I would like to run it again, to qualify again, but I don't think it will happen this year. We know that Nathan wants to give Chance another try this season, although he will be 8.
He will be 8.
He will be 8 in May. But the dog was a bit unlucky because there was the COVID year in his career when there was no IGL, so he actually lost one season to qualify. But Nathan wants to give him one more last season to try, so if he qualifies, we will be there. And also because it's in Scotland this year, it will be a different experience than the one you saw now. So if you can come over again, go, because the estate is unbelievable. You know, you will.
I'm really planning on it. Let me ask you too. Like I know they wait really late before they announce where. Is that correct? Like last year, it was,
No, it's known.
It's already public.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you go to the IGL website, it's lower this year, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for some reason last year I thought it was later in the year before it came out, but maybe.
No, the date and the place are known. I would say the year before.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I better get on that then and make some reservations.
I'll send you over the link. It's easy to find. The date's always the same. It's last week of November or first week of December, always. Yeah, always. Yeah.
Do you guys have any trips planned to the States anytime soon?
I just came back from the States, to be fair, but I went there for my job.
Yeah. That's right, Pieter. You're over here quite a bit, right?
No, usually only once a year for my job. I work for an American company, but I go to the most useless place for dogs, that's Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I just went in and out. Actually, for dogs, we've never been in the US. I mean, Joris told us, when you're over here, come and visit us. But yeah, it's a long way. It's a long way.
He and his wife have a nice place. I like their setup. That little part of Texas is needed. They're near Lockhart, really nice area.
We've only seen it on pictures and videos. Yeah.
It's it's supposed to be like, I think that area is supposed to be the barbecue capital of Texas.
Yeah,
you go there and eat. Well, hey, thank you all so much. I appreciate you, Laura and Pieter. Thank you so much for taking time, and we'll keep in touch. And hopefully, I'll see you all in Scotland this year.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Purina Pro Plan. Here at Gundog Nation, we use Purina Pro Plan for our dogs. We actually use the Sport Performance Edition, which is 30% protein and 20% fat, the beef and bison. It contains glucosamine, omega-3s for their joints. It also contains amino acids for muscles and antioxidants. And it also has probiotics. It's guaranteed to have live probiotics in each serving. There's no artificial colors or flavors. We see the difference in our dogs. We see the difference in their coat, their performance, their endurance, and also in recovery. Be sure to use Purina Pro Plan dog food. The reputation speaks for itself. There's a reason that Purina has been around for such a long time. We suggest that you use it, and we are so proud to be sponsored by Purina Dog Food.